What's up, everybody? Effortless Roller here again. We are pushing up the hen kit again. We gotta select some birds out of here, so we will see what they can do. I moved out trouble birds, and the fun thing about moving out trouble birds is that you start seeing better teamwork. Okay, you should start seeing better teamwork. Usually you see like one or two out birds. I move those birds out, and sometimes it's not that they're trouble birds. It could be a diet issue as well. So you gotta figure out why they are acting the way they are. I kind of have an idea why, but oh man. Come on, girls. Oh, there you go. Yeah, diet wise, you gotta pay attention to what they're eating. And honestly, I have not adjusted my feed yet because they are still kind of like in winter feed. I don't know where you guys live, but here it's been cold. So, being that I've been flying my birds for like 2 weeks here, they're a little bit starting to thin out already. My team can get very active, so they can lose weight very, very fast. Oh, and so what I'm looking for is, birds that have heart to kit, and take those birds and try to maintain those birds. Like I said, it's kind of hard to get them on a feed right now because it's been so cold. But it's good to see that they're somewhat sort of working together now. So I guess it's gotta leave them alone. Look, all it did was just take out 2 birds out of this kit so far, and the results are different. So this is what the skills you have to take as you'll gain these skills as you fly more and more. And I don't consider myself a hardcore competition guy. I don't care if I win or if I lose. Of course, winning is always a plus. But to me, I've always been the type of guy who was like, hey, if I'm gonna compete, let me give the top guys a fighting chance, right? I want to make sure they fight for it. They don't just earn it or get it from a blowout, but they have to put up their best to maintain their placement. So that's my mentality about competition, right? So I don't really care about winning, but I'm more of like, hey, let's make sure everybody push up their best birds, and that's how it should be like. To me, I've always said competition is most fun when it's like back to back, right? To me, that's a competition. Now, when there's like a blowout, then I'm like, yo, man, that's not even a competition no more. But to me and everybody, they see things a little differently. But to me, that's how I handle competition. So to me, I don't really care if I win or lose. I'm more of like, hey, you know what? If I'm gonna compete though, I want to make sure, these guys are putting up their best. They are putting up their best, and they're not gonna be slacking. Because a guy like me who doesn't even, because I take competition seriously, takes a placement. It's like, hey, don't let an average Joe like me take it. Come on, especially if you put 100% into your birds. I don't think I put 100% in my birds because I tend to do other things that come, like taking care of my kids, fishing, hunting, But yeah, like, look at that, man. They're just all together. Um, but yeah, like I said, you want to make sure you pick the best birds that you can to represent you. And like I said, just have fun with it. Like, to me, I compete just because I want to see how my birds in my program compare to the next guy, right? So if somebody says they got good birds, or they a great trainer, then I'm like, okay, then let's see, let's put it to use. You know what I mean? Like, you can't claim that title unless you earn it sometimes. So I don't think I'm a good trainer. I like to fly birds, but you know what? I'll do my best, and I'll try to showcase my birds. And if I win, great. If I don't, it doesn't hurt me none. I'm having fun no matter how you look at it. And so, man, look at that, man. They're just great. How the heck am I gonna select all this, guys? Right? See, I tell you, when it's crunch time, everybody's like, "Oh, we better get online." But yeah, like, it's just something that like, you have to decide: are you in it to win it? Are you willing to do everything to win it? And if you are, like, things could go sour. I'm gonna tell you right now, things could go sour. But if you remain consistent and you remain calm and humble, usually a lot of times, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose. You're always gonna have fun. You don't have that feeling of being cheated out or none of that. You know what I mean? And yeah, competition can be really bad. A lot of times you hear people talk about there's cliques out there. If you're not in their cliques, they don't want to help you out. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest. Like, if you see a kid out there and they were rocking it, you're gonna be like, yo, that kid is on fire. You know what I mean? Like, without a doubt, you're gonna be like, dude, I don't care if this dude won or not, he had the best kid. You know what I mean? And that's how it should be like. And so, I don't know, guys. Everybody has a different opinion about it. And, the great thing about this hobby is that everybody has their own opinion. Everybody has a view of their own competition team and their dream team. Am I close to my dream team? No, I don't think I am. But I am satisfied where I'm at too, where I'm not like out here chasing anything else. I take whatever comes my way and I just make it work. Like I always tell people, my birds were going to be tossed under the bridge. Okay? These guys were going to be under the bridge. Yeah, that's how I started with my family of birds. I didn't acquire birds from a master flyer. I didn't acquire birds from top flyers or whatnot. I got birds that were basically calls, and I fly them. And to me, I wouldn't trade them for anything. So, it is what it is. Everybody do things a little differently. And like I say, just gotta have fun, man. Just gotta have fun. And don't get too serious with it. At least I don't. Some judges will be good. Some judges won't. At the end of the day, it really doesn't really matter. Just open up the kit box and let the birds out. Like I said, anybody who comes see your kit, they're gonna be like, yo, man, this guy's got good birds, or that guy's got good birds, or this guy don't got good birds. You know what I mean? Let the birds do the talking, and just have fun. Like right now, I don't think I'm strict on my birds. I don't push them as hard as a lot of guys do. Like, I'm way behind. My birds are way behind. I haven't had much time to fly my birds this year. But you know, it is May now, so in a few weeks here, we're going to be flying for the preliminary. And I kind of want to just see what I'm working with, what I need to adjust feed to. You know, birds change the second year you fly them. So the first year they might just do perfectly fine or whatever feed you give them, but the second year you got to relearn them again. Their muscles are more mature. The bird is stronger naturally. So you know what you feed them as young birds, you cannot feed them as old birds. You know, I've had birds fly super high, and I would have to adjust. I would have to adjust the feed because you know they're getting too high, and you start thinking like, oh man, am I doing something wrong? Is it me? But in reality, it's not you or the birds. It's just that the bird is naturally stronger, and you have to know that. Certain families, you know, it takes them a while to build that strength. In certain families, they get that right away. You know, I noticed that a lot of the non-olet birds that here in Minnesota that they fly, they tend to be strong right away in their first year, and you know they can fly high and they can fly strong in a long time. Whereas my family of birds, you know, the first year, shoot, you get 20 minutes out of them, that's a win, you know? And you start scratching your head like, is this right for me? But if you stick with it, you learn how to feed them and how to control them. Man, they can do real well for you, you know? But like I said, you know, you got to figure out your schedule, figure out what you can do. But the main thing is have fun. And I know I'm having fun with these girls. Right now, then, like I said, they're not on performance feed. So to me, they're a little bit stiff, which is totally fine because I actually switched it up a little bit to shut down the roll. I wanted them to kit. So it's good to see that the roll has shut down some. And, you know, I want them to focus on kitting because I want them to be ace on the day of competition. And look, they're still going too, and it's like, I don't mind it, but like I said, I want them to shut down so that they actually kit. And when they are not rolling, they should be able to just kit. And that's what I'm looking for, birds that will chase the kit down. And that's the attitude you want, you know, to remain a solid, consistent kit, you know. So there are days you want them to roll and days you don't. And, you know, like when it's crunch time like this, I actually shut down the roll. I shut down the roll so that the birds can work together like this. You know, this builds chemistry right here. So to me, this is a win for me. And yeah, man, I'm excited because I know that once I get them on the performance feed here, they're gonna be rocking. So I'm not too worried about it. I think they're gonna do just fine. But yeah, nothing much. Just kind of thought I'd record a little bit for you guys. What my training days are like. You know, you don't want them to roll all the time. Even though my family do, you know, roll. There's never a dull moment here. I do try to shut them down too because I don't want to fly the roll out of them. And so, you know, I like it. I like it when my birds can work together and fly together like this. So, yeah, guys, just a little bit of talk, and you know, like I said, I don't consider myself a hardcore flyer or a hardcore competition guy. I'm more just, hey, let's compare birds, you know, let's compare our program. You know, if you're gonna be the top flyer, let's see what you got and see if my birds can hang with yours, you know. And that's just me. But yeah, guys, you know, like, just have fun with it. You know, it motivates you and keeps you flying birds. It pushes you to put up your birds even though you don't want to. Oh, look at that roll, man. Oh, that bird dropped. And damn, that was a good at least 40, 50 feet right there. Holy smokes, that bird just kept coming. But yeah, like building just the chemistry in the team is the main thing. It builds your management skills too, So you gotta have to control that as well. And when you start doing this, like what you're looking for is birds that have the heart to keep chasing the kid. Now, if they can't keep up, you don't punish the bird either. You will have to condition the bird. Maybe that bird might need a little more help. Maybe that bird might need a little more protein. So this is where we start to look into and start making adjustments for individual birds. Okay. And it's just how it is, as a management, you have to do it. And there's no way around it. So yes, good birds can fall short, all due to diet. So like I said, you gotta pay attention to what you're doing. You gotta pay attention to what you're feeding them. This blackbird here is starting to fall behind, and I'm gonna let her be because I know she's a hard worker and she's a deep spinner. So knowing that, you have to be on top of it. You can't punish the bird. I watched her roll a few deep ones already, and she's gonna be more exhausted. Because when she rolls, she's gonna be rolling hard, and if you start punishing those birds, you're punishing your good birds. That bird might need a little bit more rest. That bird might not be a bird that you can fly every day like you are the rest. That might be a bird that you have to fly every 3 days. And, you have to figure out, not every bird's going to be the same. Not every bird's going to be the same. Some people, they eat a little bit of bacon and they're bloated. And other people, they eat bacon and they're just perfectly fine. Same amount of portion. One might get more fat, the other one might not. You know what I mean? So every bird's body is going to be a little different. And so you need to know what you're doing. And to me, that's the fun part. That's the fun part of a competition, is figuring out your birds. Okay? So that's why winning is not the number one thing for me. Learning how and what I need to do to get the max out of my birds is the fun part for me. So, all right, guys, Effortless Roller, we out.